Good morning and welcome to Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist Congregation online Zoom service this Sunday, February 6, 2022. My name is Jombor Zoltan, and I am this morning's pastoral associate assisting our minister, Reverend Dr. Samantha Wilson. If my name sounds foreign to you, yes, I am an immigrant to the United States of America. I, along with my sister and father, arrived at this nation's shores at the age of 6 in 1951 with the help of the Unitarian Service Committee. Today's service is dedicated to explore and share with you our congregation's ongoing justice outreach program, which we call Contigo, which is the Spanish language words meaning with you. This program, which we initiated over a year and a half ago, assists asylum seekers newly released from detention centers to start a new life here in the United States by providing housing, sustenance, English language education, fellowship, and care. We will hear much more about our Contigo supporting activities in the following hour. Today, we start February's overall theme, deep listening. Listen long enough to be changed. Let what you hear today open your hearts and minds. I want to acknowledge the presence of my fellow pastoral associate, Derek Contreras, and behind the scene, Lee and Todd McNeely, and also the entire pastoral team. Derek, will you please light the chalice? Our Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist Congregation Chalice is being lit by Derek, and its flame shines out with the recitation of this poem. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. This poem is inscribed on a bronze plaque at the Statue of Liberty and was written by Emma Lazarus. Where have we, as a nation, wandered since those words were written?
We are gathering together. We are gathering. We are. We, all of us, the two-leggeds, 4, 6, and 8-leggeds, the fish in the sea and the microbes beyond our sight. We on this planet Earth, with this beloved planet, with its moon, and the many suns and moons and galaxies. We are, and we see. We see beauty and awe wonder and delight, struggle and change. We see injustice, suffering, and pleas for help. And we feel fear and want to be safe. We feel compassion and love. We want to feel more love, more compassion. And we see the cost of love. Our hearts are growing. Our love keeps growing. If we let our love continue to grow, we will want to change. We will change. We will let love more and more take over our hearts and our lives. We will love more and want to risk our safety. We will want to leave the safe harbor of the known. We want to share love and bring justice. We see change in the world, in our congregation, change that spills over, love that spills over to those we may not know yet, to those who are hurting, to those who are oppressed and seek justice. We want to let go of our limitations, and we want to feel love for more. Love for the oppressed, love for the suffering, love for those in need of us. We want to let that love be shared, to let it spill over within our congregation, within our beloved Baha 4, within Unitarian Universalism, and beyond, way beyond. We may even want to let go of our precious individualism and become more than ourselves, more than our congregation, more than our UU association. We may want to feel love. We may want to breathe in love. We may want to be love. May we set this love free at the beginning of our gathering. May we set our minds and our hearts free, free to be, free to love. We are gathering together. We are love. We love.
It's been a pleasure being part of Contigo, helping out a couple of our Haitian friends who've been here in Tucson. It's been a very important experience for both me and my wife, Amanda Lopez. She can't be speaking to you right now because she's taking care of our newborn. But one reason it's been important is we've got two children. Our son Laser's 3 years old, and we really wanted to show him how important generosity is and showing love to everyone, and also just to show him that we have a great deal of privilege, and that there's a lot of people who live very different, much harder lives than our own. And so bringing Jocelyn and Juvenie into our homes every week for our Friday night dinner has been a fantastic way to introduce him into those ideas. Another thing that this has meant to us is that during the pandemic, we can't be attending services in person, and to both of us, this is kind of our form of worship. We both have this idea of God as more an abstract force that connects all human beings. And so what better way to pray than to have people from a very different walk of life into your home and open up your home to them. To Amanda in particular, being involved in Contigo has meant a lot because she has a lot of pain when she sees news stories about the difficulties and the harshness with which we treat migrants crossing the border, because that's her family, right? Her tias and her primos and her dad. And so when she sees, children separated from their families, she feels like that could have been her. And she really feels that these are real people on the news, and it hurts. For me in particular, so I have a Jewish background, and there's a hugely important biblical verse: "Love the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt." And I feel a little complicit being, in a country where we put people in jail for crossing the border without our authorization, as if they were ordinary criminals, when that's not what they don't have criminal intent. It's not the way that works. It's like in Les Miserables, when you got Jean Valjean, who took a loaf of bread to feed his family and was pursued for decades as a harsh criminal. I feel like we treat immigrants that same way, and I feel complicit in that, and I felt like it was my duty when I had a chance to help undo some of that harm. From listening to these two men, deep listening, there have been a lot of impacts on us. One thing is that you can't just ask them everything you want to know, because they have a lot of trauma, and they clearly don't want to talk about it. So you need to listen, you need to pay attention, you need to look at their micro expressions when they're showing who they really are. And what we've learned from them is that not one size fits all. They're very different people. They've lived very different lives in Haiti. They have very different personalities, and yet their lives are so different than our own. We just have to accept that everybody is really individual and capable of their own autonomy and agency. But their underlying reason for coming here is the same. They want safety and security, but at the same time, their goals are very different. So one of them was yearning for family and just to be paid an honest wage for an honest living. The other one just doesn't want his talents to wither on the vine. He's got these immense talents, and he just feels unfulfilled if he doesn't have an opportunity to use them. And so they're both seeking to find fulfillment in different ways here. What has impacted us the most from knowing them is these two guys are just so irrepressible. It's like if you needed somebody to move a mountain an inch, it couldn't be done, but if you had to pick someone, it'd be either one of them, because they just somehow have overcome so much, and they just won't stop. They just keep coming, trying to push forward. And so it's been a pleasure knowing both of them and helping with Contigo.
Emilio and I arrived in Arizona about the same time that Jocelyn did. We wanted to connect with him, so Amanda and Joe invited us over to meet him for dinner. Jocelyn was friendly, excited, full of energy, and full of hope. He was also really happy to talk about his life in Haiti, his family, and his experiences in other countries on the way to the United States. We loved listening to his stories. It was like we were right there with him. Laser took to him right away too and called him his friend. They played with cars together, threw a ball back and forth, just normal things that family does. And I guess even little kids search for connections too. It was really sweet. We learned that Jocelyn loved music, plants, working outside, and his son and daughter, who he desperately wanted to help, along with his other family members. I agreed to work with him on English and on reading. His lessons were much harder than we expected, but we met weekly and we were making some gains. At this point, Juvenile arrived. And we enjoyed learning about his experiences too. He knew 4 languages, was well-mannered and friendly, He was soft-spoken and humble as he studied reading and grammar with me. It was fun to see the friendship of these two young men grow and how they joked with each other. Once they began taking lessons through Literacy Connects, I decided to let them work on English in that class while I focused on reading in Spanish with Jocelyn. Then our lessons were derailed by a bad earthquake in Haiti, along with their vaccinations, my vaccinations, and various family emergencies on my part. Throughout all of these visits, we worked with Joe on their immigration applications and helped them understand the questions that were being asked. Joe worked for hours on end to make sure that everything was in order. I was really impressed by his care and meticulous attention to detail. At Thanksgiving, we shared a delicious turkey dinner with all the fixins with these guys. And a few days later, our beautiful, sweet granddaughter was born. So suddenly, our focus was on her. Sometime around then, we were able to meet at Dita's beautiful home. It was so fun. The food was amazing. Everyone was kind and easy to talk with there. It felt like we'd been friends forever. On Christmas, we invited them over to our house. At first, they declined because they were going to go to Phoenix to be with Jocelyn's sister. When that didn't work out, Juvenie came over alone. We enjoyed ham and cookies and lots of yummy treats. We taught him how to play chess, exchanged presents, and then Emilio drove him home later that night. For a while, Jocelyn seemed sad and withdrawn, but he was all smiles and laughter once he saw his sister. We still go over to Amanda's and Joe's house every Friday for a Shabbat dinner. These gentlemen have handled unbearable situations and have had no choice but to go with the flow. I am sure that their disappointments have been many and their trials have been anything but easy. Even so, they continue to speak about loving and caring for their families. They're willing and able to work hard, and they also speak so fondly of all of you who have helped them and have touched their lives. They are grateful for God watching over them. As the very first friends we had when we moved to Tucson, we also appreciate their friendship and their love. We've learned that asking questions is good. Asking the right questions is better. And just being there and listening when they feel like talking is the very best. I hope they know how much we care about them and that we love our time that we spent together. We wish them all the blessings God has in store for them. Thanks to the team for giving them a safe home, food to eat, medical care, rides to appointments, lessons about culture and life, legal counsel, outings for entertainment, true friendship, and so many more gifts of love. It really does take a village. We never know how or how much that will affect their lives, and therefore the lives of those they encounter. But I like to think that being there with each other through it all is the way to world peace. Jocelyn and Juvenie, we're still with you. Estamos contigo. Adios.
Would you please join with me in singing Meditation on Breathing? Meditation on breathing starts with something that anybody can do. It's just a gentle, repeated drone of breathe in, breathe out on the same note. I'm going to sing that for a while to get that going, but after I get that going, I'm going to switch off to other parts. Move to the other parts if you want, or just interact with the breathe in, breathe out and the drone, just to sort of find the zone. Try to be present as you sing. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace, and when I breathe out, I breathe out love, and when I breathe in, I breathe in peace, and when I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
Good morning. My name is Kyoko, and I'm so glad to be with you this morning. This morning, we heard invitations, stories, some beautiful music, and our heart and mind have been filling with goodness, don't you think? So let's now spend the next few minutes going inward, connecting and listening within. You know, even when our mind wanders off elsewhere, maybe the thoughts of what you're going to do this afternoon, maybe some memories have risen, or maybe some problem solving you want to get done. But even when the mind is in the past or the future, the body is always in the present, always. Our body is a great support for centering and grounding in each moment. And we connect with the body the easiest is through our breath. So wherever you are, whether you're sitting or laying down, I hope you're comfortable. And see if you can relax just 5 or 10% more. Let your shoulders be loose, belly soft, jaws loose. And let your tongue slowly float up towards your upper palate in your soft, open mouth. So to begin, let's take 3 deep breaths, breathing in from your nose and breathing out from your mouth. Breathing in, filling your chest all the way to the belly. And exhaling from your nose, from your mouth, slowly. Again, breathing in through your nostrils, breathing out from your mouth. And one more time. And let your breath return to its natural rhythm. Allow your attention to be gently drawn to your breath, the breath breathing itself. You don't have to do anything. Let the breath breathe you. As you relax into the simplicity of being breathed, notice within this body of breath, there is a rhythm, a tide, waves of respiration, flowing in, flowing out, flowing in, flowing out. This awareness of breathing can deepen the awareness of flow of all life to which we belong. And we are simply being receptive to this beautiful gift of being alive. Let the attention keep on returning to the breath, not the thought of the breath, but to the actual sensation of the breath in the body. The rising and falling of the chest, the air passing through in and out of your nose. Notice how the in-breath is cooler and the out-breath warmer and moist. Without mental comments, allow the breath to be as it is. Just let the breath raise you. Breathing in, we breathe in the world. We breathe in the trees, the animals, the people, the desert, if you live in the Tucson area. As we breathe out, we release something of ourselves back to the world. Other beings will receive it and transform it to their nourishment. We are always breathing in one another. We are porous and we are interconnected on this earth. The person next to you, if there is one, is breathing. Your children are breathing, if you have some. Your loved ones, far and near, are breathing. The asylum seekers are breathing. Somewhere in the world, south of the border, north of the border, near us, to the east, to the west, they're all breathing. The border patrol is breathing. But there really is no border for our breath. For each of our desire to be alive, be happy, and thrive, there is no border for that. So, as we conclude this meditation, let's connect with the one world through our breath in awareness and love, and with gratitude for this precious life.
So hello, everyone. My name is Ruha Taid Temlock, and I am member of the Contigo group that accompanies asylum seekers in detention and outside of detention. I am also a member of the Baha'i faith and the Baha'i community here in Tucson, and it is really the principles of the Baha'i faith that are guiding me and leading me towards this path of service that I have chosen, that I am really quite passionate about. So as you will have heard by now, and you already know probably by now what Contigo is about, it's a group that has formed about 2 years ago, and we started accompanying folks in detention. And we have also hosted for asylum seekers in homes here in Tucson. My work started a long time before Contigo. I am associated with several other organizations, one of them being one that we used to go and visit folks in detention right here in immigration detention in Arizona at Eloy. And I did that for 2-3 years until the pandemic came, and they stopped allowing visits, understandably, and they have not allowed restarting it. So in the process, somehow my name and phone number have circulated throughout the detentions, and it has gone to Louisiana, and folks in various detentions in Louisiana have been calling me, and I've been accompanying them. And also in Texas, I have a lot of people in Texas right now. Most of my folks have come out of the detentions that I was accompanying in Louisiana, 2 of them being Juveni and Jocelyn, who have been guests here in Tucson with friends and folks of MVUU. And maybe some of you have met them, and a lot of friends have accompanied them also here and lend a lot of help and taken them into their homes and just offered friendship, which is really what it's all about. So today, I think that the topic is really service and listening. And so I was going to try to touch on that a bit. And I draw a lot from the Baha'i writings because those really guide me. And so one of the writings that have always touched me is this, from the Baha'i writings from Abdul Baha, and it says, the attainment of any object is conditioned on knowledge, volition, and action. So unless these 3 conditions are forthcoming, there is no execution or accomplishment. So the first step is really knowledge and understanding the whole story of the asylum seeker. Of course, each story is unique to themselves, but the bottom line, the general story of each is that these folks, our brothers and sisters, our human brothers and sisters, have had to flee their country, their homeland, their families, everything that they knew as their reality because of persecution of different types, whether it was political, religious, ethnic, sexual orientation, or domestic violence. They had to flee to save themselves or to save their children, or both. And it takes tremendous amount of courage to do that. It is not something that anyone takes frivolously. Sometimes we hear people who say, well, why don't they just stay home and fix their problems? But if you were in their shoes, you would be doing the same if you had the courage to leave. I don't even know if I would have the courage to leave. So then knowledge and understanding and making the effort of trying to understand more the story of the asylum seekers gives you then the volition, because something moves in your heart. Something has certainly touched my heart and moved my heart to have the volition to then take action. And when I started action, I didn't even know where to start. I had no idea where to even start to advocate for these folks who have now made it all the way to our US borders and then have been taken by Border Patrol into immigration detention. How do I even help them? My initial action was to go and visit them in detention. I thought, if they even know that there is a human being outside of detention, who knows that they exist, who cares about them and just wants to connect heart to heart with them and give them this encouragement to say, you're not alone, I'm here. That was my first step. But the first step leads to the, of course, to the second step and the third and fourth. And just the visits were not sufficient. We started writing letters to each other, and that gave them tremendous amount of support as well, which is something that also Contigo continues to do now. And then I became conscious of all the struggles, all the barriers that they were facing in this path towards asylum seeking. A lot of it had to do with language, also not even understanding the system, and the system not being presented to them in a language that they know best. They're given some information in English or perhaps in Spanish sometime, but many asylum seekers are neither English speakers nor Spanish speakers. And so to be able to accompany them and for myself to understand better the process and then explaining it to them. And then little by little, learning to advocate for them, finding a pro bono lawyer, finding legal advice for them. And then it became even more aware that it's not just that also, but in order for them to be released from detention, they need to have a sponsor, and some of them have no family, no friends, no friend of friend of friend of friends, nobody in this country. And unless someone can sponsor them and receive them in their home, they have no way out of detention. And so if they remain in detention, if they pass all the steps necessary to even qualify to go before the judge in immigration court, they have to fend for themselves. Without the language, without understanding the system, without knowing how to even put together their case, they have to present their case before the judge. And most of the judges in immigration detentions are very tough, extremely tough, and you stand very little chance of representing yourself, going pro se before the judge and winning your case. It's extremely rare, extremely rare. But they stand a much better chance if they're out of detention, if the community can come around them, welcome them, and then find perhaps a pro bono lawyer, find them legal counsel that can help them. And then also the judges often outside of detention are a little bit more compassionate, and in some areas of the country more so than others. So then it became the one path, the one step, which was just to go and meet my brothers and sisters of the human family and just let them know that I'm there, I love them, and I care for them, and I'm there to give them support, became something far more than that. So it was just really to listen to them and hearing what their needs are. And so this is how we have come to create Contigo. Some of the friends at the MVUU, together with a friend of ours, my colleague, who used to also visit at the immigration detention, Cecilia, and myself, we started this accompanying group. And we need a lot more of your support and your help. First and foremost, it is the love and support that you can offer these friends who get released from detention. They, or more than anything else, they just want love. Really, the material stuff comes far, far below the needs. Is the love and the friendship. And this is our chance to really be able to express our oneness, because we, humanity, as the Baha'i writings say, we are inextricably interconnected. And whether we see it or not, love is really the power, the energy that holds the entire universe together, that connects all of us together. And so to be able to recognize that reality and jump on it and connect heart to heart with our brothers and sisters who have had to flee their countries and are in a total strange country, total strange language, and to offer that friendship is huge. Another quotation from the Baha'i writings that really always inspires me is this: be anxiously concerned with the needs of the age you live in and center your deliberations on its exigencies and requirements. And to recognize that this entire movement of humanity, we have today more displaced human beings, refugees and asylum seekers on the entire planet, more than ever before in the history of humanity. At the same time, I think that it's an inevitable thing that is part of our human growth. as humanity, because we really have to face each other and see each other as a reflection of the mirror of ourselves. So when I face my African friend who has been released from detention and I'm speaking with him, either on Zoom or on WhatsApp, or I just came back from a trip to Seattle and I got to visit one of my friends that I used to accompany in detention. He's from the Togo. And for the first time, we actually met face to face. Oh my goodness, what joy, what joy. There was just so much hugs going around. His cousin was there too, and he was also hugging me. It was just so wonderful. And it is really that feeling that we are just truly one human family and interconnected. And if I can help alleviate the pain and suffering of my brother or sister, it makes life better for all of us. It is not just for him. It is because of our interconnectedness. It is not just me trying to save my own life and having a good life for myself, but if I can make life better for the other, my life and everyone around me, their life also gets so much better. So another quotation I wanted to share that also guides me so much is from the Baha'i writings that says, "Be as a lamp. Be as a lamp unto them that walk in darkness, a joy to the sorrowful, a sea for the thirsty, a haven for the distressed, an upholder and defender of the victim of oppression. Let integrity and uprightness distinguish all thine acts. Be a home for the stranger, a balm to the suffering, a tower of strength for the fugitive." So this be a home to the stranger is something that we can do, offering not just our heart, but also our home. We're looking for more homes that can open up and folks who can receive asylum seekers in their homes for a period of 6 months, maybe more, maybe less. We never know how things go with their proceedings in immigration courts, if they're already at that point or not. And so this is another thing that I would like to offer you as a gift, really, to have the opportunity to open up your hearts and your homes to these folks, or also just to lend a hand and accompany them with your friendship, with dinners in your home, taking them around to do a little sightseeing, helping them with English, etc., etc. So I just want to wrap it up with a quotation, also a beautiful one from Dr. Martin Luther King, who said, "We must use time creatively in the knowledge that the time is always ripe to do right. Don't wait for the good things to happen to you. If you go out and make some good things happen, you will fill the world with hope. You will fill yourself with hope." So this is what I would like to share with you. There's so much more that I could share, individual stories of folks and what they have shared with me, but this is where we'll stop today.
Hello, MVUU. So glad to see you. I'm here to thank you for being the home of our amazing immigration justice team and ministry. We're called Contigo. You've probably heard of us. Your generous donations and support have resulted in one that we, MVUU, is one of the only UU congregations in the country that are accompanying and hosting asylum seekers. We are on our way to being a leader in this ministry, which is honoring the inherent individual worth and dignity of every person, one of our principles. And we are honoring the lives of those who are seeking a life of safety here in the United States. In the past 2 years, we have housed 4 asylum seekers, sponsored between 25 and 30 others, helping them to reach a home outside of Arizona to live with friends or relatives. And now we have accompanied 2 young Haitian men for just over 6 months. We've launched one of them, Juvenie. He's now in Reading, Pennsylvania, starting his asylum process there. And we are continuing to accompany the other, Jocelyn, who will be here with us at least for 6 more months in Tucson. We have in Contigo a core team and a support team of both MVUU and Baha'i community folks who have diligently been befriending our 2 guests these last 6 months. And we have done this by providing them 2 separate living units, apartments, by sponsoring them, helping them with all kinds of legal matters, including getting their temporary protected status as asylum seekers from Haiti, fixing them meals, visiting them, taking them out to lunch, having them in our homes for dinners, lunches, sometimes even overnights. And we've been providing English lessons in addition to helping them connect with Literacy Connects for English. We've been driving them to get groceries and dental appointments, to go to their ICE check-ins, and taking them on field trips to Mount Lemmon and the Desert Museum and to Honolulu and even to Phoenix, so that Jocelyn could see his sister for the first time in several years. Thank you, Jean-Bar Sultan, for your extraordinary efforts to get these guys around and let them see our home here. When we couldn't do it, MVUU, without your emotional and financial support. Our gratitude is immense for the generous contributions you've made to Contigo. It's made all of this possible. And as you might expect, today, we need to raise some additional monies so that we can continue our work. During the month of February, we are asking you to consider making a special contribution. You can do it in two ways. You can either do a woven basket contribution, marked Contigo, as you're familiar with, or simply write out a check and send it to the church marked Contigo. We continue, as you may expect, to come across unexpected expenses in housing and feeding and transporting and hosting our guests. With your support, we'll be able to continue to be an outreach ministry that we're proud of. This is truly a way to make a huge difference in the lives of those that are seeking simply to create a legal, safe, secure life here in the US. And especially proud today, we are announcing that an anonymous donor has offered a matching grant of up to $5,000 just in the month of February for Contigo. So please open your hearts and your checkbooks and send us some support and consider joining us as a ministry of the heart. Thank you so much, MVUU.
I invite you to breathe with me, with one another. Breathe in deep. Breathe out long. Breathe in deep. Breathe out long. And when you're ready, let your breath return to its natural rhythm. Feel your breath gently moving in and out of your lungs, so relaxed as if the lungs or the air were breathing you all on their own. If you are sitting with somebody, whether a pet or person or several of those, gently notice your breath and each other's breath. Tune into the breath of all around you. Feel the planet and its lovely atmosphere replenished by rainforests all the way from Alaska to the tropics. Feel gratitude with each breath for the oxygen we share and for all those who have breathed this air before us. Feel the earth holding you gently in place. Gravity keeps you safe, and your deep breaths allow you to relax. So I invite you to breathe into love. You know that love. The love you have felt when someone loved you, or when you were the one who loved. Find it in your memories or right there within your awareness. Breathe into it. Let it expand. Picture it filling your whole being and spilling over to all those you already love, then to those whom you know, to all of Mountain Vista UU, to the Baja 4, to people everywhere on this earth. Let this love guide to compassion and see how this love wants to be expressed, how it wants to impact all those who might be suffering or are in need of justice. Just breathe for a minute and trust that your wise inner self will help you. Deep love, deep knowing. We have gathered together in love.
This morning, we listened deeply. This morning, we heard keenly. Our beloved community is inspired to transform because we have already embraced these ideals and experiences strongly. Our chalice represents a beacon, like the one on the outstretched arms of America's welcoming Lady Liberty. As we now extinguish our chalice, let our Unitarian Universalist symbol be a reminder that we must continue to be a powerful voice and force of welcoming and caring for immigrants and asylum seekers yearning to experience what our Unitarian Universalist principles and our American ideals have promised to the world. And we hope that they may remain true even to ourselves, we the people.